This is the Troutbitten podcast.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Yeah, Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
It's about trout.
Wild trout.
This is Troutbitten.
This is the Troutbitten podcast. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Dominic Swentowski. I'm the owner of Troutbitten and the author of Troutbitten.com. All right, welcome back to season 17. Also, welcome to the holiday season. I got a lot of comments on the Christmas tree and the Fishmas Santa Claus behind me. People saw it in the In Deep episode that I did with Devin Olson. That was a really great conversation, too. I enjoyed it. So I guess we're in the Christmas spirit here. We do have the Troutbitten Christmas party coming up, and the Troutbitten Shop Leader Sale is on. I have a couple more weeks of guiding, and we have some snow on the ground, which is awesome. Love that. I hope we get a lot more snow, honestly. So thanks to everyone out there for your support of this podcast season. Thanks to the brands we've been working with really for a long time. And thanks to the new brands like Cling Fishing and Restore Line. And thanks to my friends here too. So tonight we want to tackle a topic that's been on our list for a long time. Fly fishing myths or misunderstandings, let's say. And we're not here to argue about stuff or complain a bunch. We just want to acknowledge things that we hear repeated or we see in print or shown in videos. Stuff that's almost assumed as fact when it's often not true at all. Or maybe it's not always true, right? I think this will be a fun way to look at things. So we'll bring up as many myths as possible tonight and not really focus on one for a long time. And we'll have a conversation around some of them. But we do think it's important to try to clear the air about some of these myths and misunderstandings because bad or incomplete information, let's say, can really lead people down the wrong path. And an angler might base many decisions about how they fish, where they fish, when they fish, or what they fish for, based in part upon these myths or these assumptions that are sometimes incorrect. So I think most of what we'll bring up tonight is pretty well ingrained into the fly fishing field of knowledge. Basically, I'll bet that most of you out there listening will have heard nearly everything that we bring up tonight, probably repeated a bunch of times. And maybe, too, you'll have a different take on things. Some of these won't be myths to you at all. And that's good, because you really should trust yourself and your own time on the water more than anyone else. And we say that a lot. Trust yourself. Go fishing a lot. Trust what your waters, what your fish teach you. All right, so we'll get to that topic in a moment. But first, let me introduce the guys with me tonight, Bill Dell and Josh Darling. Josh, let me ask you, are you terrorizing the local deer population still, or did you back off?
You know what? Every time rifle season comes around, I do back off a little bit.
Do you? What do you mean by that?
More people are in the woods. Even more people hunt our property around that time. You know, my father-in-law's got buddies who come in and hunt, and I tend to not spend as much time in the woods around then, but yeah, still out there. I've killed a couple deer. We've got some meat in the freezer, and they're scared. So,
all right. So you, this is always interesting to me. You see the effect of people then on the deer, the hunters. I mean, on the deer.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that it's entirely hunters. The season shifts. You know, when you're in the late archery, it's like peak rut, and so. It's if we're fishing, it's a lot easier to target a buck when they're on, or to target a big trout when they're on a red. Like you could find them a lot easier, just like you can find a buck a little bit easier.
That's what Bill does. He targets all the trout on the reds.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Josh trained me well.
Yeah, so things are a little bit more predictable. The earlier in the season you get, and the later in the season you get, it goes in waves.
Josh,
Here's Bill Dell.
I guess equate the first day of rifle with kind of the first day of trout, where it's just kind of a zoo in the woods versus like the first day of trout is kind of like a zoo on the stream where it's anybody and everybody.
The Orange Army. Yeah. It's not so bad on private property, obviously.
Sure.
It's like having access to a private stream. Opening day doesn't make really a difference.
This is going to sound rude or elitist or something, but we used to call people hobbyists. People that take fishing not as necessarily as seriously as we do. I don't know. You got to have a name, right? And not trying to be rude, just making the point that some people don't take, probably the average person does not take fishing as seriously as we do. It's a hobby to them. They might go 4, 5, 6 times a year. They don't really care about it that much. It's like, go. Sometimes I do that. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
We don't fish as a hobby, right? Something I was thinking about, Josh. We were over at Trevor's. You guys were playing like elite ping pong.
Table tennis. If you're going to call it elite, you got to call it table tennis.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I didn't. Della, you've seen them play, right? Have you?
They're above my league.
Right.
Yeah.
It's you and I should play, Del. And we'd be ping pong.
I'm bottom of the rung. Ping pong.
Buddy,
You give
that's
me some
where I am.
basketballs or golf balls. I got chance.
I thought I might have been okay at what I was still calling ping pong. And maybe I'd keep up when Trevor got that table. No. I learned right away, no. And that was a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago when he got the table. Probably more than that. And now, oh my gosh. I was over there, what was it, your 31st birthday, right?
That's right.
You had some friends over. I stopped over, finally got some work done. And I swear to God, what you guys are doing with your table tennis, right?
Yeah.
I mean it. That's like, I don't even want to try, Del. There should be a different.
That little left-handed kid, Austin. He's pretty good at that stuff too.
Is he? I think these guys would bury him. I don't know. I think I'd like to see it.
What
though.
do you think? Yeah.
Josh is nodding his head.
Yeah. Austin. Yeah, I think Austin beats your average garage player, but it's a different
hobbyist.
league,
Yeah, the average hobbyist.
He's like middle of the road. You're saying that you're a next level above him.
He is. Josh doesn't need to say it. I'll say it for him.
Thank you.
He says thank you. Do you think Austin would call it ping pong or table tennis?
I think chances are he'd call it ping pong.
Yeah,
that's his problem. He doesn't recognize.
That's the tell, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So serious players, non-hobbyists, call it table tennis.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Learning something every day. I'm going to get there. Right? Is there a 50 and over, division?
Oh, yeah.
Bracket? Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Senior league.
There's a state college club that takes it pretty seriously, and most of them are in that bracket.
No kidding. Can you beat them?
You don't need serious.
Some of them.
You need
What's that, Del?
you need like amateur league.
That's what we need.
Bar league. That's what we need.
Garage league, yeah.
Yeah.
50 and over bar league.
50 and over and 6 beers deep. We got a chance.
That's right. I might, right? Because I'll only drink 2, and I'll be on the same level. Hey, let's do a question before we make it into a ping pong podcast.
Cool.
That's alliteration. Did you know?
I
that?
got it up. I can try to read it.
Go for it, Bill. Go get it.
All right. This question comes from Mike the Trout Bum.
That's what he called himself.
The original Trout Bum, Mike.
He didn't say the original, but he took it on, right?
It's not Mike 2. It's Mike 1.
Yeah.
Hey, Dom, this is for the Troutbitten guys, and maybe it'll make it on your podcast.
Here it is.
There it is. I have a few good fishing partners, and we've all learned a lot from the Troutbitten content. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I've heard you say that you get a lot of criticism for getting into the details of things because it makes things complicated. Please don't stop.
That's what she said.
I can assure you there are many more anglers out there like us who are tired of the same old stuff, reshared and resaid. The details are what make Troutbitten stand out.
Now, let me tell you, that's why I picked this. That's why I picked this question right there.
This guy.
He could have said anything after that.
He is like a champ.
No, that's why. That's why. Good job, Mike.
Is there 3 paragraphs of?
No, just one.
Get to a question. Okay,
just one. Thanks, Mike. Troutbum.
I just watched your in-deep interview with Devin. I also listened to your crew podcast on whether mono rig has gone too far. In both episodes, you touch on micro mono rigs. I think I know the answer to this, but I'd love for my crew to hear it from you guys. If you have to fish very small nymphs at a longer distance with the standard leader that you guys like, how would you do it? Maybe a whole podcast on this would be good. Mm-hmm. Thanks from all of us, just a bunch of trout bums.
That's what he signed off as, just a bunch of trout bums. Thanks, Mike.
Do you want to go first, Mr. Polish?
What's that?
Do you want to go first, Mr. Polish?
I will say this is a very common question. as people want to fish lighter and longer, lighter setups, lighter flies, and then thinner leaders and stuff. I get this question a lot. Well, why do you fish that standard? Okay. And if I want to fish a really light setup, how could I possibly make that standard work? My first answer is split shot, baby. Like, it doesn't have to be light. You can go ahead and get it down by adding a simple split shot. We were doing it today. We had an 18 on the bottom and a 20 up top, and we added a number 6 split shot. When I say split shot, doesn't mean it has to be real heavy. I'm talking number 6, it was 20 centigrams. No, it's 10 centigrams. Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's not heavy. But anyway, you can add whatever weight you need. That's my first answer. I got more, but so do these guys.
Yeah, I think people assume that you can't, that to fish a light fly, you got to let the whole system be light. No, you just need the fly to be light,
Well said. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing I go to, maybe even before weight, is usually some kind of suspension.
Sure.
An indicator or something.
Yeah.
And if I'm fishing light, it's probably going to be a pretty light suspension system, a Dorsey or a New Zealand indicator or something like that.
I'll float the sighter too. I do that a lot with lighter flies. If I'm just tracking flies through whatever, I can leave a couple links in this. We don't want to make this whole podcast about this. We all kind of love this topic. And we've done it. We've kind of done this. So you could float the sighter. You could add the Indy. Like Josh, I'd rather use yarn than a bobber. You could go tight line dry dropper too. When we were doing the Indy interview with Devin, he used the term park. Like, you could park the sighter out there. You could park a dry fly out there. I liked that term. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to keep giving Devin credit. I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, please.
When it comes down to small flies and small systems, a lot of times I get into like, why are you fishing that?
Okay.
It's probably because the water's low and clear, right?
Sure. Sometimes.
Most times.
Yeah.
At least in our area.
Yeah.
And so I think about dry dropper, like you said, whether it's mono dry dropper or it's even fly line dry dropper.
Sure.
And you've got that distance. Fly line gives you the distance, right? If it's really low and you're spooking fish when you're trying to approach a run and you see the fish spook, that makes me think, okay, I've got to switch to fly line and I've got to get more distance between me and the fish.
Right on.
And I can still fish, 6X off a dropper of a caddis. And even if I fish 3X of that caddis, so I can turn it over, have a longer leader.
Good point.
And you're still presenting that to the fish with a 6X dropper, let's say it's 2 or 3 feet off. You still have that option too.
I know. That's great. And quite honestly, what we're doing with the standard mono rig is pretty similar to what I do with the fly line. Getting that, not quite the fly line distance, but, pushing it around, getting that nymph to hit first, and then that dry fly to hit next, or the yarn Indy, or the sighter. Anyway, like you said, Josh, it comes down to, I think the next solution, if you're not going to add just a little bit more weight, then the next solution is to park something out there, like Devin said. Such a great term. To me, I don't know, I just connected with it. I'm like, that's a good way to put it. And then anyway, instead of trying to take tight line principles to your really light system, to your really light flies, you take suspension principles to your really light flies. All right, so thanks, Mike, the trout bum. We appreciate it, man. I hope we answered your question. That's how we do it. There are other ways to do it, but that's how we do it. Very common, though. I'd say that is a misunderstanding, right? Like, oh, you can't fish light flies with that. Sure you can. Park it out there somewhere, right? Or add a little split shot. All right, so let's get into our main topic here. Myths and misunderstandings in fly fishing. These can come in really any form. So you're going to hear what I mean by that. Let's jump in, guys. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go? So I want to tell you about one of the best ideas and coolest products I've seen enter our industry. Kling Fishing Products makes MagGrab, magnetic fly patches, to level up your organizational game on the water. MagGrabs are made in Montana and feature strong rare earth magnets that offer incredible holding power. You can attach them anywhere you need, from your hat to your pack, your cooler, your boat, the dash of your car, or the bed of your truck. Wherever you attach the MagGrab, you know your flies and tools are secure. New for this year is the MagGrab Rod Rack. The rod rack is a 2-part system designed to hold your fly rod securely during fly changes, fish releases, snack time, and any other situation where you might need to set your rod down for a minute. The base plate securely attaches to the butt of your rod with a strong rubber clasp, while the top magnet is easily attached to your waders, pack, or vest. Get them close and they click together. Your rod is secure. So check out Kling Fishing's full line of mag grab products at klingfishing.com or ask for them at your local dealer and find the Kling mag grab that works for you. Since 2010, Smith Creek has designed innovative guide tough gear for serious anglers. Introducing the new Fly View chest pack system, Smith Creek's most advanced accessory yet. Built from marine-grade aluminum and lightweight PE foam, the Fly View is rugged, modular, and made to keep up with you on the water. Fly View's lid features a built-in 3x Fresnel magnifier, giving you a clearer view when you're tying on fine tippet, especially if your eyesight isn't quite what it used to be. With 5 swappable tray styles and an external lid patch with a magnetic fly holder, the Fly View chest pack can comfortably hold well over 100 flies, all in easy reach. Spend less time tying and more time casting with Fly View. Visit them online at smithcreek.co for more information.
I would say the trout are leader shy.
Deli? Yeah, okay, right. So you don't think they're leader shy?
Well, it depends what you consider a leader and what you consider shy. And
Okay.
it also
Okay. Let's go.
And it depends on what you're
Myth
fishing.
number
right?
one.
So,
Leaders aren't
myth
leaders.
Number one. Leaders aren't leaders.
Shy doesn't mean shy.
So I guess to me, like, it depends on the river you're fishing. You can say a fish is leader shy. There's a river that I fish that people say, oh, you got to fish 6X. You got to fish 7X.
I know.
And
right.
so it's got a lot of big boulders in it.
Okay.
And so if you can kind of tuck yourself behind those boulders and present the fly with no leader touching the water, they're not leader shy if there's no leader on the water. And so I could fish, I'll often fish 3X or 4X to the fly, to the dry fly, or even to the nymphs.
Yeah.
Because I have the ability to hide behind these huge boulders where the fish can't see me. And I can present them, very into tight structure, and the fish aren't as leader shy. The fish are pretty much, they're shy of people seeing them.
Yeah. I think that's what
or being spooked by poor cast, right? You think about fly line, or you think about some of these other things that are have more mass to them. They're more often going to spook those fish.
Yeah. For me, it all comes back to one of the most important books I read was George Harvey's first book. And he just insisted that trout are not leader shy, they're drag shy. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is 30 years ago. And it made sense to me. And I guess I've just really stuck with that concept. Maybe, and I'm pretty stubborn about it because I really want it to be true that trout are not afraid. They do not care. They're not actually spooked by your thicker leader, but they don't like drag. I get the story all the time. You guys hear it like, oh, hey, as soon as I went to 7X, I started catching trout. Well, that's because your presentation your drag free, let's say, presentation got better.
Yeah.
If you get better with your skills, you could present drag free on 4X, on 5X rather than 7X.
Right.
Is that better or worse? Maybe. Yeah. Josh, you got something?
I was just reiterating what you're saying. Like a perfect 4X drift beats a bad 6X drift every time.
I like that. Well, why would you rather fish with 4 than 6?
Why would I rather fish with 4 than 6?
Does it make you better? Are you more elite?
Yeah.
Should I not even ask that question?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, so with 4X, you get all the reasons that we love the standard mono rig over the micro mono rig. We love 4X over 6X for those same reasons.
Why though? I'm challenging. Right?
Yeah, no, it's good. The turnover that you get with it's like that's the terminal section of your flies, and so if you're wanting that fly first entry and you're wanting to pick where your tippet goes, you get a lot more control over that if you've got a stiffer tippet. And then
especially with nymphs.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you put it in a tree, you can get it out easier.
Yeah, a bad
or the bottom.
Exactly, a bad hook set, and you don't lose your fly immediately.
Or the fish of a lifetime. I mean, one of your favorite night fishing rivers is one of my favorite rivers, all around. Yeah, and I refuse to fish 5X or smaller. I'm not fishing 6 or 7.
Yeah, you won't do it there.
I won't do it. I
right.
fished the Seagar in VizX 4-pound, which ends up to be 4.5X. I fished that as my skinniest tippet. And I, a lot when I'm fishing streamers, I'm much thicker than that.
I think
There are some rivers I'm just not fishing thin. Deli?
I think that's a good thing to note, right? If you've got a fish of a lifetime chance,
Yeah.
Beef up.
Yeah.
I don't always think the bigger fish are super leader shy, like just impossible to catch. I think a lot of times people think they think inversely, where like, oh, I need like the most pristine presentation. It has to be on like the lowest tippet to get that fish to eat.
Yeah.
The problem is once you get that fish to eat, you've got to land that fish, and your chances of landing that fish on 6X versus 4X, there's a big difference.
But on the other hand, like that same concept is its own myth in itself. Like the idea that you need to like take your time with a trout because you're using 5X tippet. Like,
oh, nice.
Like
you mean in fighting?
Your gear can handle so much more than you think it can, because your rod is taking so much of, especially modern rods, are taking so much of that, the tension and the brunt of that power out of the fight. And so your 5X tippet can actually do a whole lot more than you think it can.
That's a great point. That is a myth. I hadn't even thought of that one. But long ago, I wrote an article about knowing your tools, know the strength of your tools.
Yeah.
And the tool, in this case, being the tippet. And I forget, I think it was Joe Humphreys, who I cite so often on this podcast. I think it was Humphreys who said, put it in a log, put your fly in a log, and then just pull. How much can your rod really pull on that? And you go, oh my gosh, I got so much strength here. There's so much power I can put on this fish that I'm not using.
You become worried more about your rod breaking than your tippet breaking.
That's a great way to put it. So that is a myth that like, oh, you got to really baby them if you're on 6X. Well, maybe you don't. Put it in a log, see how much pressure you can really put on that fish. And most people don't. Here's a quick myth. That all 6X is the same, or that all 5X is actually miking out at...
Yeah, you've done the tests on this.
So that all 5X is actually miking out at 0.006, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. You're right, I've done the tests on it. It's kind of ridiculous, the range that these companies will put on. They'll tell you it's 5X. It's not. Besides that, too, is the flexibility of the tippet. The reason I will go to 6X, for example, on a nymph is if I'm using the smallest nymphs in my box, which are like now they're 20s and 22s, which smaller than they used to be. That could be another discussion about myths, but I'll go to the really small tippet so that the fly has a chance to kind of flex on the end of it, right? And obviously, to me, it's obvious, not all 6X is going to flex the same. The Orvis Mirage, for example, is the softest, most flexible fluorocarbon that I know of. It is what it is. It's not all the same. Anyway, it's not just because I bought 6X fluorocarbon tippet or I bought 6X nylon tippet. It's not the same.
Good point. It'd be really cool to find a way of doing a really accurate, breaking point test instead of using a micrometer. To actually be able to measure things based on a tested breaking strength.
Sure.
I've seen some YouTube clips where they do that with Bass Gear or Stren.
They do have that. Yeah.
Berkeley. And so I've seen them tie knots, but I've never seen anything done for that for fly fishing tippet though.
I've heard that
think of.
Yeah, that machine that really tests the breaking strength is pretty expensive. I think that's why we don't see it commonly. Plus, then like you brought up, man.
Buy us one. We can try
it. Right. The knots matter. Right?
Yeah.
You could tie the same knot as me. We could all three tie the same knot and they would probably break at different strengths. That would be a cool test. My knots would be the strongest. We could debate that.
Mine would be the weakest. That's why I fish fly.
That's funny. I was going to say mine would be somewhere in the middle.
See? Yeah,
we know ourselves.
I know where I stand in my knot tying ability. That's why I use 1X.
I think it was about a year ago we talked about having, at the Christmas party, we were going to do like a knot tie off. Not about the strength of the knots, but like how fast. Right, speed competition. How fast can you rig it? I don't know, 2 nymph rig, with it.
Yeah.
That'd make fun.
We ought to do like a reel this year.
I know. That would be fun.
I'll bring a camera. We'll film a reel of that at the Christmas party.
That would be fun.
Do they have to function, or do they just have to meet?
No, they gotta hold
ability
right,
ability to attach.
We'll give them a little tug.
Ability
See
to
if,
attach.
Right, give him a tuggy.
Yeah.
Did I say tuggy? What?
Tuggy. Austin will be there.
Anything else on
on Tippet? Myths on
stuff.
Tippet.
No. I think we burned that one down pretty good.
That's good.
Our intro question made me think, and I should have brought this up a second ago, but our intro question made me think of the myth that longer casts catch more fish.
Ooh, that's nice. I hadn't thought of that either.
Which I generally don't think that's true, and I think that it's really cool to cast far, and that's like why you see all these artistic videos of spay casters.
Nice, good point.
But you get more drag, you get worse angles, you get less drag detection, and you get more line on the water. More line on the water always means more problems, and the farther you cast, more line on the water, or the more sag you're going to have. That's and good. So, in general,
I have a friend that is like walking, living proof of this. Like my good friend Greg is like doesn't cast far, is always consistent. Like I would say, like stays in the pocket and catches more and bigger fish than most, like almost anybody I know.
Yeah,
because he is so like fundamentally sound.
That's
and
nice.
Doesn't extend himself is probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I mean, I think it's a mistake, and it is a misunderstanding, I guess, and a myth that the longer cast is going to be better. It's not better at all. What's better is how are you in more control? That's what counts.
Yeah.
People are very enamored with long casts. We're not the only ones to bring this up. I mean, in fly fishing, man, if you're fishing more than 30 feet, you're starting to push it. I don't care what system that you're fishing, you're starting to push it. Okay, I mean, streamers you can cast a little further, dry flies you can cast a little further than really any nymphing setup. And I mean, be effective. Yeah, that's a cool one. I hadn't thought of that. I got one. People tell you all the time, just trust your guide. Whatever your guide tells you, just do it.
Now, if you hire Troutbitten, that's true.
I think it is true, Josh. I really do. I know you kind of chuckling there, but I think it is. And we could name here many other local guides who you can trust. But I'm going to be honest with you, there are more guides than ever. And just statistically, you're going to have more guides that you shouldn't trust than ever. Austin and I did some traveling a couple.
That's right. I hope you bring this up.
Yeah, well, we had some of the worst guides. I went down there with the idea, like, I'm just going to trust my guides. I'm not even going to bring my leaders or my flies or whatever. What a mistake. And these were not guides that you could trust, meaning they were honestly inexperienced. But they didn't think of themselves as inexperienced. And the average angler that would go down there would be swayed, convinced, hey, these are the guides. These are guides. Hey, they're guiding. I should trust them. That's not always true. Sadly, it's not always true. And I mean, it's like that in every walk of life. You can't just trust somebody because they claim to be an expert or someone who's going to teach you.
Yeah.
Again, sadly, and it makes life difficult, you cannot just trust someone who says that you should trust them. Right?
If you knew how easy it was to get a guide's license, like in Pennsylvania, it's so easy. A couple $100 and you've got it.
That's like it. PA, that's all you have to do. Sign up, prove that you have insurance, and give them $100.
And what you guys...
That doesn't mean you know anything.
Right. And what you guys experienced was, like, they had a couple things that had worked really well for them over the years. And what they lacked was a large amount of versatility.
Sure.
And so when conditions weren't perfect, or when the trout didn't do what they hoped they would do like they had done before, all of a sudden you guys were in trouble.
And that's everywhere. It's not, I mean, it's right, everywhere. Yeah, it's across the country. It's many, many guides who you don't necessarily need to trust them. Or you shouldn't necessarily trust them. Deli, you're thinking about something. So I've been wearing Tajima polarized lenses for over a year now, and I can tell you they've changed my vision and my comfort level on the water. First, I chose a progressive prescription, and I haven't looked back. Previously, I was carrying readers on the stream, but by putting my prescription in the glasses, I put my Tajima lenses on at the beginning of the day, and I never take them off. Second, my go-to lens choice is Tajima's Yellow-Green 40 Silver Mirror, because with their high light transmission, they're perfect for the cloudy low-light days that we all love so much. On brighter days, I choose Tajima's Brown 15 green mirror because they block more light and eliminate eye strain when the sun is strong. Prescription or not, Tajima takes any of your existing frames and puts the finest polarized lens technology into them for a fraction of the cost of a new pair, with purpose-built lens tints and colors designed for fly fishing and matched for your conditions. Tajima's service is also second to none. My Tajima lenses aren't an accessory. They're a key piece of daily gear. Send in your own frames today. Visit tajima-direct.com. That's Tajima-direct.com. Upgrade your lenses and see what you've been missing. So Troutbitten listeners already know the crew's favorite beer is Broken Heel's Hazy IPA from New Trail Brewing Company. But our friends at New Trail are hard at work developing our next favorites. Each one is like a different fly pattern because some fit your current situation better than others. Like this one they call 24/7 because it's the beer we could drink 365, crafted to go anywhere, anytime. 24/7's light body and low alcohol make it a must-have when you've got day-long plans but still want full IPA flavor. Then there's Trail Marker West Coast IPA, inspired by classic pine and orange flavor. Trail Marker is brilliantly clear, nicely bitter, and available in 2 varieties, West Coast IPA and Imperial IPA. You can bet the Troutbitten crew will mix these styles into the cooler with Broken Heels. So check out newtrailbrewingcompany.com to find retailers near you or on the way to the river.
Yeah, so I've had people question me.
As a guide, you mean?
Yes, and
Good.
I think that's fair.
Good, yeah,
Right.
absolutely, right.
And so what I've said in the past is like, okay, well, you have this philosophy and this technique. I said, yeah, let's use it.
Yeah.
Like, let's do that. If you don't catch a fit, and so I guess my compromise is, hey, let's do what you want to do for X number of minutes or whatever, and say, let's see if you have success in that tactic.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then let's try something that I think will work.
Right.
Let's see which works better.
Right.
Because I can't say that I know everything. And so sometimes it might be somebody that, hey, they do have a good idea, or they do have another super fly that I wasn't aware of.
Right. Or a super tactic. I think
Super tactic.
I'm always looking for that. The next super tactic.
How about tying flies saves you money?
Right. No, people will tell you, that the tying flies does not save you money. Do you hear that? Or which way do you hear it the most, you guys?
I think in the circles that we run in, generally, I'll hear it like pretty obviously stated that tying flies will save you money.
Okay, I think it does.
Like in the circles we run in, because we all know that like tying flies does save you money unless you fish twice a year.
Right. And you have to fish enough for it to save you money.
If you fish 2, 3, 4 times a year, tying flies probably doesn't make sense for you.
Right.
Because it is an initial investment, and you're probably going to spend more on that investment than you would on flies. And you're probably not going to be tying the right flies if you fish 4 times a year.
But Josh.
Yeah, Deli, you brought it up. What's your thought?
Do you have a graph?
What do you mean?
Like last week you talked about, or it was the week before you talked about the bell graph?
Oh, right.
Bell curve.
The bell chart.
Like I feel like this applies here too, because like, once you get over X number of days on the water, that you're going to lose X number of flies.
There's a breaking point.
If you right, there's a breaking point there where it does.
Yeah.
I would say probably
said.
Like in let's say like musky territory, like those flies will cost you like $20, $30. But to buy all the materials for them and to tie them, like if you're fishing muskie like 2 or 3 times a year, you're not gonna.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to ask what's your time worth?
Yeah, like are you throwing streamers? Are you gonna fish streamers 5 times a year? It makes sense for you to go out to, X shop and buy 10 streamers to fish those 5 times a year versus buying all the materials.
Right. Bottom line is like if you're fishing a lot and you're hearing somebody say like, listen, tying flies is not going to save you money. It's just because they're trying to sell you something. Now, if you're not fishing a lot, then that might be true.
That's nice.
But
can I dovetail on that and say that, I said earlier about trusting your guides. People will tell you, hey, just ask the fly shop guys. They'll help you out with good information. Boy, I mean, I'm not trying to beat up on fly shops. There are just as many good ones out there as, let's say, bad ones or less than honest ones. Put it this way. If you go to a fly shop and they tell you that for this stream, you're going to have these 20 patterns, come on, man. You don't need those 20 patterns. I don't care if it's May around here, May, and it's middle of hatch season. You don't need 20 patterns to go out there.
Yeah.
I feel like the longer we go into this modern world where, where everybody's trying to sell you everything, the worse that gets. Find a good fly shop and then trust them. How do you do that? I don't know. That's not what we're here to do. But I'm just saying, just like every guide, every fly shop is not something that I would trust. I'm not going to walk into the fly shop and trust that they're going to give me good information. It might be a local angler who's in there who really does not want me to fish the best places, so he's going to tell me to go fish some of the secondary or the kind of third tier places. You can't trust them for information necessarily. You guys get my point?
Yeah, your better option is always to befriend a serious fisherman.
Yeah,
that's a better move than if you're new to it. If you're trying to figure it out, find somebody who takes it. And if maybe that is in your fly shop, but bring them a pack of beer or something. Give them a reason to give you the good information.
Show up with some double broken heels. And, here's some flies, bud.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. Sort of getting to know the people in your fly shop, and it doesn't take too long talking to an angler, whether they're in a fly shop or for me, through an email or you meet somebody on the water. It doesn't take too long for you to understand this guy kind of knows his stuff, or perhaps you go, he's full of.
But I think you have to be around a while to be able to weed out the BS.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you go fish this fly in this spot, it's gonna catch you a fish. That's when you know the guy's full of BS, because
that's fair. Good point.
I guess it comes back to for me, when I started tying flies, it was about having the availability to make what I need on the spot.
I know.
Because let's say I want to order something online because I don't have a fly shop near me. It was still 2 or 3 day turnaround. And I was like, well, I don't want to wait that long. I want to go home and I want to tie, I want to tinker with something. I think it'll make you a better fisherman to go home and tinker with something and say, okay, well, the fish were doing this today. Okay, I need to go home and I want to adjust this pattern to maybe meet the conditions that I was in.
I hear you.
And then it makes you more conscious of what you're presenting and I don't know how you're presenting it. I think
it also reminds me of what I said earlier, trust yourself, go test stuff for yourself. And then you're going to have really a background too, some fishing experience to know who you can trust next. And you'll be able to have that radar for that guy, he's full of crap, the next guy. Or you're going to meet the next person who becomes your best fishing buddy because you go, man, they really know what they're talking about. Hey, this guy really has fished a lot and I can learn from him. I like this guy, we kind of get along and we're going to go fishing together. And there you go. You got one of those trusted friendships. That's cool.
How about some big fish ones?
Go ahead.
There's a lot.
We've been talking a lot about big fish this season. I think it comes from the cicada hatch, right?
Yeah, probably.
Back in the summer, we're a little enamored by big fish right now.
Yeah, I feel like one of the most common ones you'll hear is you got to use big flies if you want to catch big trout.
I don't think that's true. Sometimes it is. You're going to catch bigger fish on average with a bigger fly within reason.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe a bigger nymph, catches a bigger fish more often, perhaps.
Okay. What are your thoughts, though? Big flies for big trout. What's Josh saying?
You'll hear people the streamer guys will kind of repeat that scripture, that's why they do it, because that's what big trout feed on, and that's only what big trout feed on. They feed on bait fish, and they feed on sculpins, and they feed on crayfish, and they feed on frogs or whatever it is, or they only feed at night. All this kind of stuff.
There's a bunch there. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to spend the time on the water to and catch pretty big fish on pretty small, let's call it, tackle. You gotta catch pretty big fish on pretty small stuff to realize that they're eating like other fish. Perhaps the majority of their diet is still nymphs, even if they're big.
I agree with you. I think that's a myth that people will tell you, those big fish, they become predators and they're only eating bait fish. Not true. I'm just going to say
Right, it's
that
way
way.
more
Not
nuanced than that. Yeah.
true. The
Yeah.
biggest trout in the river, in my opinion, is going to eat, my opinion, is going to eat, blue wing olive, if, size 18, 20, blue wing olive, if that's the most prevalent food form, if that's the easiest way for them to get the most calories,
Yeah,
come up and eat
efficiency.
3 or
That's what-
4. Efficiency, yeah.
Right. That's
I
what
think
those big
that's-
trout are about.
Man, I would say you brought up blue wing olive. I would say that's one of the around
ahead.
here and a lot of the tailwaters I've fished.
Yeah.
Like that's such a prominent hatch because it happens throughout. Like you got spring and fall versions of it.
All year long.
I've
Almost.
seen some really big fish rise to like size 20 to
I
24
know.
olives,
Yeah.
and it's like, what the heck's that fish? I've tried. I've gone by that spot at 15 minutes after daylight trying to throw a 7-inch streamer by that fish or a 4-inch streamer by that fish. He wants nothing to do about it. But come 9 o'clock when the olives comes off, he's up there sipping 22s.
Yeah. They're not one-dimensional predators. Like people talk about big fish, like once they reach a certain class, they all of a sudden they switch into only predator,
Right. I don't believe it.
They're way more opportunistic than that, I think.
I think
And
so too.
with very specific feeding patterns, and most of those patterns don't involve like a 6-inch meal,
Yeah, I know. Right.
Yeah.
Their majority of their diet is not giant prey, it's midges and nymphs and crest bugs and scuds
I
and
think so too.
but perhaps more bait fish get eaten by bigger fish than eaten by smaller fish, and that makes sense.
That's fair. I mean, I agree with that.
No, we go down a wormhole. The other thing is it depends on what forage is in that system.
Okay.
Maybe it's a stream that isn't very fertile. It doesn't get olives, and it has a lot of little bait fish.
Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing.
And that's the main thing. And so now they're eating streamers. So there's so many variables. I think it's the biggest thing is learn your river and learn the different things, like the most abundant food source the fish have in that river system.
The more I guide, the more I just continue to realize, I continue to be confronted with exactly what you're talking about, Bill. It's about people's river systems. People learn exactly what the fish teach them wherever they are. And you can bring it into our region. And if it's subpar, let's say you need a real dead drift up top or underneath, but it's not good enough. If it's subpar, if it's not a real dead drift, but it's close, that's not good enough. And we're in a region where these fish really demand precision. Sometimes I get a little tired of that. I get a little tired of how precise it has to be. Right now, we are in the lowest, clearest water we've ever had. I think for this, what are we on, December 4th right now when we're recording it. I think it really is probably the lowest, clearest it's ever been. And I'm tired of it. It's been this way all fall. These fish demand, I think, so much precision. And in other parts of the country, they don't.
I experienced that fishing last week. We actually got this wet stuff. It's called rain here in Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I heard about that.
And
Heard rumors.
the streams came up and I was like, oh, I'm going to go fish. A stream that's, not very pressured. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, this is different compared to you're saying, like Central PA where they're picky. And I was throwing sloppy casts. They didn't catching fish. And it's like, oh, this is nice.
To tie the best flies, you need the best materials. And at Fulling Mill, they're on a mission to make sure you get exactly that. After 2 big releases of fly tying materials, Fulling Mill is back with another expansion of their industry-leading range. When you dive in, you'll find things like thread, floss, mini marabou, CDC dubbing, Argentine hair dubbing, silicone legs, round rubber, shrimp eyes, new chenilles, and new colors in some of their existing material ranges, like barred craft fur. Fulling Mill also released a purpose-built saltwater hook. Whether you're tying dries, streamers, nymphs, saltwater flies, or predator flies, there's something for everyone. And at Fulling Mill, materials always go through a rigorous quality control process. So before they're packaged and shipped out, Fulling Mill makes sure their materials are up to the highest quality standards. Ask for Fulling Mill at your local dealer. Tactical Fly Fisher was founded by Fly Fishing Team USA angler Devin Olson in 2015 to make the gear and knowledge it gained at the World Fly Fishing Championship available to all anglers. Tactical Fly Fisher's goal is simple. They sell the latest and best fly fishing and fly tying equipment and help you learn how to use it through their videos and books. Visit their store at tacticalflyfisher.com and use the code TB15 to get 15% off your first order. That code excludes rods, reels, tying vices, waders, and boots. Josh, you were talking a minute ago about big fish. And here's another myth. People will say when you hook a big fish that they run for cover or they run downstream. I have people tell me that a lot. Those big fish, man, they just run downstream on me. I don't think they're running downstream as much as we accidentally take them downstream. If you're fishing a dead drift, quite often the best way to get a dead drift, we're fishing upstream. So you set the hook and your momentum is coming downstream and the fish probably came up and down. All the momentum is coming downstream. And all of a sudden, if you don't let the fish get down, back down and reestablished, then the whole system is coming downstream. All of a sudden, the fish is downstream of you. And then if you keep them on the surface or close to it, they keep going further downstream. I just think it's a myth. I don't think fish are running off as often, especially brown trout. Sometimes rainbows. Yes, they'll do this. Steelhead, totally different story. Steelhead are nuts. They will do completely different things, right? We're not talking about steelhead. Yeah. I just think if you work with a trout, you can kind of keep it, across from you or upstream. You got a chance. They're not all just running for the cover or running downstream.
I guess here's my question to both of you is, the biggest drowned trout you've caught, what's your hook, the point where you hooked it and you put it in the net? What's that time?
Real short. The biggest one ever?
Yeah.
Biggest one ever actually took me 5 minutes. The second one, almost all the other bigger ones have been like 30 seconds at the most, 20 seconds, right? 20 or 30 seconds.
I feel like I'm cheating and I'm gonna in a way contradict a featured myth, but my biggest one was at night and it was very short.
Oh yeah. Well, you got like 12-pound test on.
I had 15-pound test on, and I just pulled it to me.
Rome. It's like musky fishing.
Yeah, nothing.
You don't have a fight.
There's no rules.
But I guess.
Deli, what about you, man?
I would say it's less than 45 seconds on all the biggest fish that I've hooked. I mean, for brown trouts, yeah. I mean, you get it, like you said, steelhead, rainbows. I got some rainbows that think they're steelhead.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
crazy things.
Brown trout, I feel like if you fight them right, I think that's like a myth maybe in itself. And
I agree.
It takes,
that's a good point.
Minutes. Oh, I hooked this brown trout on 4X. It took me 45 minutes.
10 minutes.
It took me 45 minutes to get this thing to the net. I was exhausted and the fish is dead. I mean, the fish is in the net.
Well, if you watch
That's
like
true.
if you're walking through a stream and you like bump a fish off the bank, if you've noticed, they almost always go upstream or across.
I hear
across
you.
Or up.
Yeah.
I think that's their comfort zone. And so when people say like they just want to run downstream when they feel that tension, no, they want to go upstream to cover. And they want to get, and especially if you're fishing downstream of them, they want to get away from the thing pulling on them. And
right on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're directly, if you get downstream, like sometimes I think the right move when you hook into a better fish, or any fish for that matter, but in particular a better fish, step further out into the stream. Don't back up to the bank. If you back up to the bank, that back pressure becomes side pressure, and they're more okay with going downstream.
That's pretty
You know
good.
what I mean? So instead of, when you hook a big fish, step out into the stream. Don't step back towards the bank to try to pull them into shallower water, because then they feel that tension coming from downstream of them and they want to go upstream.
I like that. I think I do the opposite because I'm because I'm expecting the fish to get downstream of me sometimes.
Well, maybe try something else and you'll land some more big ones.
Right? And I don't be like you. I have so many pictures of so many big trout. Man, I lost like 20 years doing the wrong thing, Josh.
Dink bitten.
Dink.
What were you gonna say? You weren't done. Sorry.
I need that URL.
Yeah, you gotta reserve that one next. Dink bitten.
I have trout bitten, bass bitten, and salt bitten. I'm gonna go get dink bitten right after this podcast.
I bought buck bitten in case I ever ventured.
No,
into
you
that. I did.
Are you serious?
I did.
Trying to expand on the empire.
There's an empire.
Look out, meat eater.
That's right. What about this one, guys? You hear it all the time. You got to match the hatch. Match the hatch. Match the hatch. Match the hatch. I think that's a myth. I don't think you have to precisely match the hatch. Size, I think that's important. If there is a hatch going on, I think the size is the most important. And then the color, the shape, all the size is kind of shape.
I'm like the anti. I feel like this is
anti-match.
So I remember me and Burke went on a float, and the sulfurs were popping.
Yeah, Pat Burke,
and they were just there were sulfurs all over the river. There were some fish rising.
Yeah,
I started out throwing streamers, and I was catching really nice fish. And as we progressed our way down the river, the sulfurs kept coming off, and I kept catching nicer and nicer fish. And so I was like, well, screw the sulfurs. I'm gonna throw a headbanger at these fish. Yeah. And it was probably one of my best big fish days ever. And I was, what's a sulfur? Like a size 14 or a 16, and I was fishing
fair around here. Yeah.
Probably double twos at that time. And so that's probably a 4 to 5 inch
on a articulated streamer.
Yeah. So probably a 4 or 5 inch streamer. So if you can think about the differences between that. But I do think that there's a time and place for everything. At that point in time, it was really high water. And so there were fish rising, but the fish seemed to be happy eating that bigger food form. I guess my thought is everything has its time and place.
Well, you were saying you were fishing with Pat, and I remember Pat and I were on a float, and we were doing pretty well, with the Troutbitten Superfly. And then the hatch started. He was still catching fish. And so at every rise, he would continue to throw the Troutbitten Superfly, the nymph, at that rise. And it would go in and bang, fish would eat. It would drop like 6 inches and bang, fish would eat. That Troutbitten Superfly looked nothing like I think it was a Hendrickson or whatever that was hatching. Trout didn't care. They were just kind of looking up, give me food, I got it. And maybe they liked that Superfly, which was bigger than the Hendrickson, even more. He just kept fishing it right through, instead of switching over to a dry fly. Not that was better or worse, but it worked. That's the point. Yeah. You didn't need to match the hatch.
The commonality.
You don't always have to.
The commonality here is Burke promotes anti-hatch matching, right?
Yeah.
I know. He always said the best way to ruin your day is to put on a dry fly.
Even if you are, let's say you're fishing like a Hendrickson hatch, and you don't have a fly that looks exactly like for this example, get away from like using a completely different fly. Like let's say you're still using a fly that sort of imitates what's hatching. I do think that the trout care way more about the behavior of that fly. And we've said this 100 times. But care way more about the behavior of that fly than the actual accuracy of your imitation.
Nice.
And so even if you are trying to like match a dry fly hatch of some sort, it's far more important than, I think you brought up size at the very beginning. It's far more important that you get your size pretty close and the behavior of the thing that you're casting as exactly on with what's actually floating on top of the water as the stuff that's actually floating on top of the water.
I like
and
it.
If it doesn't look anything like it when you look up close, the trout, I don't think they notice that kind of thing, honestly.
I know. I have another one for you guys. There's a myth, amongst Troutbitten podcast listeners that Josh Darling doesn't talk very much. And I think
you just got to get us with 3 people.
That's what I was going to say.
Put me on the spot.
We got three guys tonight, and all of a sudden, Josh has all kind of ideas, right? We just talk over them. That's the truth. The myth is that he doesn't have ideas, that he's a dumb guy, right? And I've heard so many people tell me, Josh, he's dumb.
He's kind of an idiot. You guys are really sweet to let him stay on. Yeah. He's kind of an idiot.
He's dead weight.
He's dead weight. You should get rid of him. So many people tell me that, Josh.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's a myth too. But
that's the other problem with me is I believe it.
Right. Myth after myth after myth. No, I like it, man. That's all we need. Like fewer voices. All of a sudden, your voice is pretty loud. You're so smart.
Mm,
I got one.
let's hear
I
it.
guess a lot of these are back to big trout. Big trout are harder to catch. Hey, you caught a big trout. Good for you. You're such a good angler. Big trout means a good angler.
That's so stream dependent.
Yeah.
There could be a stream that has a ton of 18 to 20 inch fish in it, and any respectable drift could catch that fish. Or there could be another stream that has a ton of pressure, a ton of small fish, and a 16 inch fish as a trophy. And so that quote big fish has such a different definition in so many different waters, I think.
I'm always so glad whenever I see like a picture of like a fake Pennsylvania tiger trout, those big,
Right.
like stocked brown
Hey, look
trout
at that,
all
yeah.
of their dots are connected. It's like, I'm always so thankful. I'm so happy that people can't do a very good job at reproducing the true look of a wild trout, because that's the dead give. Like, you see big fish, like people all the time. I mean weekly, truly weekly.
I know.
Show me pictures of like, oh, my nephew caught this huge fish, and it's either a big stocked ugly rainbow trout, a steelhead, or like a brown trout with all of its dots connected. Like,
I saw,
you know what I mean?
Digi trout.
And occasionally it's a really beautiful fish. I'm like, that he's probably a pretty good fisherman,
today I was on Facebook and I saw two different people post
Don't do that.
and say, hey, can you guys tell me if this is a tiger trout? And it was a rainbow trout. Like, I mean, it had a giant rainbow down the middle of it. And then I saw
that's
another
a
one that
common
said,
thing. Yeah.
hey, is this a tiger trout? And it's a brown trout with all the dots connected, like Josh said. And that's what made me think about it. And it's like, just do a Google image search, kid.
I see that a lot lately. Hey, I caught a tiger trout.
Is that a new, is this some sort of new trend that I'm missing out on?
Unfortunately, there's even guys that we're not going to name names, but there are like industry big name guys who will happily post a picture of a clearly stocked fish and like brag about its size.
Well, yeah.
And so size is just like, it means nothing.
Right.
Almost.
Right.
Size means everything if it's a wild fish.
Good anglers know that a reliable fly line can mean everything, but replacing fly lines every season, that adds up. It's costly, it's wasteful, and now it's unnecessary because Restore Line has created the ultimate repair solutions. Restore Line offers products to repair damaged fly lines, to splice fully broken fly lines, and to add a new loop to the end of any fly line. Restore Line's easy-to-use products extend your fly line's life without compromising performance, while also cutting down your environmental impact. So don't toss out your fly line just because it's worn. Restore it, renew it, and keep fishing with confidence. Restore Line, innovation for anglers who care. Learn all about it at restoreline.com. And so that dovetails on this. Like, many people think, oh, those big trout, they're the smartest ones. They're the smartest ones. No.
That's a good one.
If you take the biggest stock trout that you can find, 22-inch stock trout, right, or bigger, you put him in a river, that's the dumbest trout in the world. He has lived his whole life.
He's eaten everything.
Exactly. I mean, come on. That's the dumbest trout, the most gullible trout that you can find. That's not a trophy. It's not the real thing. Whatever. We've been through that a lot too, but that's a real myth. I mean, that's a very prevalent myth, let's say. Big trout, wise trout. Yep, so smart. No, maybe real dumb.
Josh, we're coming off.
Sorry.
It's okay. Josh, we're coming off of archery season, right? And so, are all the big bucks super smart?
I like that. Well, they're all wild, right? I mean, they're not stalking bucks. Right?
Yeah,
not stalking deer.
Do you think that every buck is, every 12 point out there is extremely, has like another level that you have to get to be able to find that deer?
Good question.
That anybody could do.
I do think it's a little bit similar. It's not the same thing because you can't really stalk deer, but not. It's way less common. But
gotcha, yeah.
It's a little bit similar in that, like, take like a public land mountain buck. That's like our wild brown trout. And now you can have private land farm like they're growing corn, they're growing beans, it's private land.
Mm.
Those bucks might be able to get older, and there's not a lot of hunting on that property. Like that buck can get a lot older and a lot bigger and never have the pressure or the need for survival skills that you might have if you're a big woods buck eating acorns and avoiding orange coats, you know? And so it's different, but there's similarities.
I think it's definitely similar because if you're fishing private land, it's posted and has a lot of it has the right structure, like in feed, like let's equate, acorns to, I don't know, nymphs or bait fish. And you've got that big food for them for that fish to eat. And if that fish doesn't see, just like the deer doesn't see another human, but maybe a handful of times a year, and it's not necessarily afraid of it. The same thing for the trout, right? The trout isn't afraid of that human because they don't get wary the same way. It hasn't had a negative impact to it. And I guess what I'm saying here is you could catch a 27-inch fish in that situation, and it may not necessarily be as hard or difficult as if you caught a 16-inch fish in a overly pressured stream that doesn't have that. And so to kind of understand, trophy fish is to understand the situation.
That's great. Well said.
Yeah, that's good.
What else you have there, Josh?
Yeah, one that I'll see, and I think that I saw this a little bit more as I started guiding a little bit more for you, Dom.
Okay.
Is a hesitancy to fish, like let's say faster water, like riffle type water.
Okay. And
people would all sort of question you when you say like, oh, let's hit this riffle first. It's like, well, it's less than a foot deep. Well, that's fine. Yeah. And I think the fear is like, or the lack of confidence in water like that comes more from a lack of experience, like managing your line in a specific in a section of water like that.
Yeah.
Because if you can't manage your line through a riffle, then you're not really going to catch that many fish, and you're not going to have any strike detection.
And
so
you're
not
not going to
think that fish sit there. Exactly. Yeah. And so then you're only going to go to those like deeper, shady spots that are the easy spots to manage your line through.
Yeah.
And then you're going to assume that that's where all the fish sit. And then you're going to come up on a spot like that. You're not going to catch any fish in there. And you're going to assume, well, this is the prime spot in that water. There must not be fish here. I'm going to move. When all you need to do was hit the riffle right above that deeper, shady spot and fish it with contact, and you would have found all the fish.
Am I the only one that loves like ankle deep water that's fast?
No.
Like the fast.
Oh, I love it.
No, you're not the only one.
Like give me the fastest ankle deep water around, and I will fish it all day long, and I love it.
Why do you love it? I got my reasons. Why do you love it?
Sometimes I feel like it feels like I'm stealing fish out of it because it's so skinny and so small. It gets overlooked a lot of times. There's a couple river systems that we have that just have, in certain stretches of river, it feels like 60% of the river looks like that. I guess what interests me about it is, right, let's say you have 100 yards by 100 yards and it all looks the same. Like naked eye, you're driving by the car and you say, oh, that's all an ankle deep. Going to drive down. There's a bigger hole around the corner. I want to go down to it. Right. Because that's where all the juice is. And I'm like, to me, it's like that water that's like an ankle deep. If you spend the time to just like grid that off into like, there are so many, like Grove always called like micro lanes or like micro. You're just looking for like, oh, there's a rock. Instead of the rock being like 6 inches high, now it's 15 inches high. And there's a fish behind that rock. And like, you're just like taking your time and working through that. I don't know what it is about that, but it excites me. And it's like probably my most favorite water to fish.
I hear you. I like shallow water because I can see it. I can see the bottom. If it's ankle deep, I can see the bottom, almost regardless of the river conditions. Therefore, I'm not guessing. I know how deep it is. I know what the river structure is. I can see, oh, there's a rock there. There's a tree part there. Let me get past it, right? If I'm nymphing or if I'm streamer fishing, let me get around it. And so I feel like I can fish shallow, let's say, again, like you said, ankle deep water I can be very efficient in that kind of water. I can come through it really quickly. I think that's fun because I'm like, well, it's not going to take me 5 drifts in that one lane. I'm going to get 1 or 2 and bang, there. That's what I wanted. Next one. Often then, especially on good days, I'm going to catch more fish in that skinny stuff because I can fish it so well without, there's no guessing. You can see it. You know how deep it is. I can see the structure. I'm fishing it better quickly. I love that stuff. And like you said, man, I mean, and the biggest fish in the river can sit right there. He's wherever he wants to be. And if that's where the food is, the most available and easiest food source, that's where he is going to be, right? Even the biggest fish.
Yeah.
That's a nice point, Del.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, a myth is that the deeper, shadier spots, that perfect undercut, the deepest stuff is going to hold the biggest fish. And there's your prime water. There's your most fish and the biggest fish. I see that a lot when I'm guiding. Like you said, Bill, people often are kind of suspect of like, are fish really going to sit there? I'm like, dude, that's where the most fish are. This is kind of confusing to me because almost everybody has heard that like, oh yeah, the food factory of a river is the riffles and the runs. That's true. That's where most of the nymphs are. That's where if trout really want to feed, a lot of times they go to the riffles and the runs. The mixed stuff. And a lot of that stuff can be ankle deep. But then if it is really skinny and if it is ankle deep, they don't have confidence in it and they want to go up to the deeper. They're thinking it's prime stuff. It's not necessarily prime. Yeah.
And I think it's because they're looking into that ankle deep water saying, I don't see a fish in there, so there must not be any in there. And not realizing the ability to camouflage. Like
it's another myth. It's another myth.
I feel like I've had to learn this lesson.
Okay. In
our river systems. I feel like maybe now at this point I've truly learned it.
Yeah.
I felt like, over time I've always been like, oh, like you look at that sexy run, right? It's got 3 deep boulders. It's as fast, it's super fast. That just looks sexy. I'm going to go over there and fish. And I've done that with friends that have fished other sections where they're like, hey, I went and I fished that really good looking water, big boulders, big cuts, 2.5 to 4 feet deep. It just looks like there's got to be a monster brown in there, right? And then my other buddy's fishing with me, and he's fishing 6 inches of water, and he's roping them in left and right, and I'm catching 6-inch fish, and I'm like, wait a minute, I learned this lesson 10 years ago. I need to learn it again.
Relearn it. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Josh, you got something?
Yeah. Speaking, I mean, what you just said, speaking of letting the trout tell you what the best water is that how you worded it? Something along those lines?
Kind of, yeah.
And, and maybe we approach this in like a winter podcast, but like the cold water stuff, like winter water and winter fishing. You'll hear it said that like, when it gets real cold, when the winter hits, when there's snow on the ground, trout hold in deep, slow water.
Yeah.
And like when you're winter fishing, people just go low and slow, find the deep stuff.
Sure.
And that's all good. First of all, like don't just take the temperature that you feel and apply that to the water. Like if you're wanting to know what's going on in the water, like take the temperature of the water and see what's actually going on.
Not the air.
Exactly. Because like just because you got a cold front and it got real cold doesn't mean that the temperature of the water has changed in any way.
Good point.
And the other thing is if there's spring water influence on the river, then the deep, slow stuff is probably not your best bet.
It might not be, right?
Probably your best bet is to go find the spring influence and fish that, because then you've got stable temperature, you've got stable oxygen, you've got stable food source. Like if you know your river well enough to know where the springs are coming in, that's where you should be fishing in the winter.
That's a really good point. Another thing people will tell you about winter fishing is that, just go out in the middle of the day. When the sun, once the sun warms up that water, that's when the trout are going to be the most active.
As if the sun is going to heat up the water when it's that low.
Maybe if you got shelf ice halfway across the river, maybe.
That's fair. That's fair. Seriously. Like in the coldest seasons, I think that might be true. And then again, if you just get out in the morning, we've said this before, we've talked about winter fishing and done full podcasts. If you get out in the morning, that's never a bad idea. Like get out at dawn. I mean, what's dawn in the winter anyway? It's at 7:30 or something, right?
Yeah, you can still sleep in.
I know, right? You're still sleeping. And you get yourself on the water. And then you know what? By the time you get yourself in a nice rhythm, it's like 8:15. And then you're fishing well when maybe the fish really start to try to turn on. I don't know. You're not going to hurt yourself by going out early. Don't wait till noon to go out there in the wintertime. I don't think so. I think that's a myth.
I actually think that
people tell you.
I think everybody should do that.
Yeah.
I think everybody should start to fish at 2 p.m.
Bill's right.
And tell us where you're fishing.
Right. So we don't go there. Right.
No, I actually think that can cool down the water. Like the sun comes up.
How's that?
And if you've got like snow ice on the banks.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're melting snow.
Good point.
Like you're melting like ice cold stuff right into that water. In addition, you're bringing like silt and like screwing up the chemistry of the water along the banks. In addition to that, I think that can actually ruin things. And you're like, oh, I feel warmer, so that must mean that the trout are feeding and the water's warmer. So where really all that's happened is you've melted snow into the water.
He's so smart, Bill.
I've experienced that a lot, where it's like, oh, it's going to be 50 degrees today. It's going to be 50 degrees. Well, let's go out a little bit later. But if you go, like, I've been like, well, we'll go out, we get out there and we're freezing our butts off at 6:30 a.m. And then come around 10:30, 11 o'clock, fishing just shuts off. And you're like, well, it went from 30 degrees to 50 degrees because it was a warm day. But like you're saying, Josh, there was ice and snow along the banks, and that fed into the stream, and it actually decreased the water temperature.
Things down. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Very good point.
This is the stuff you got to think about if you actually want to catch fish. Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb. Don't
be dumb.
All right, there it is. Fly fishing myths and misunderstandings. There are about 100 more of these that we didn't touch. We could do parts 2, 3, 4, maybe a whole series on things people repeat and the next guy believes. And for sure, you'll find such myths in all walks of life. But fishing, especially fly fishing, seems to propagate these myths at an unusual rate. And while part of the problem is that rivers, creeks, and streams are so varied, probably a bigger problem is that people don't fish enough. Because it takes seasons on the water to form enough of your own data to finally start to trust yourself and what you've learned over what you've seen, what you've heard or read from others. Long ago, I wrote and published an article to Troutbitten titled, What to Trust. And later, the guys and I did a podcast around the same idea, which is really at the root of our conversation here. I guess the message or the takeaway is simple. Go fishing. Work hard on the tactics. Fish with an open mind. Be honest about the quality of your fishing. And when you've truly presented your flies as intended, then trust the trout. Believe what they've told you. Then add that experience and that set of variables into your expanding bank of knowledge about what really works out there. And then you'll have something. All right, thanks for listening, friends. We have 2 more podcasts for you this season. Keep your eyes on the Troutbitten YouTube channel and on the website. Also, the Troutbitten Leader Shop is still stocked and ready for your order. Thanks for your support, everyone. Now, Josh Darling, Mr. Smart Guy, will you read us out?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Remember, the Troutbitten Project is a free resource for all anglers.
I've heard that.
Every single one of you. The Troutbitten website hosts over 1,500 articles.
Seems like a lot.
When we got to 1,000.
Copy and paste shit.
You guys remember when we hit 1,000 like last year, didn't we?
No, it was a few years ago. We've been doing this podcast for like 4.5 years. Go ahead.
Okay, it hosts over 1,500 articles, videos, and podcasts with endless stories, commentaries, tactics, tips, and more. Find what you like through the top menu and through the search page. Navigate by way of the categories and tags too.
People don't do it, but you should.
Be sure to find the Troutbitten YouTube channel now featuring Troutbitten Tip Series, Fly Fishing the Mono Rig, and the Troutbitten Fly Box, all in collaboration with Wilds Media.
Wilds Media.
That's your company.
Some self-promotion.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
You'll
you do.
You'll also find the Fish and Film videos and the Riverside series and the new In-Depth series.
It's like there's always something new.
In deep.
You gotta keep people interested.
Yeah.
All in their own playlists on Troutbitten YouTube.
Indeed.
Thank you for listening to the Troutbitten podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Maybe
and
4.5.
Appreciate
4.5.
Because it really helps.
4.5.
Until next time, friends. Fish hard.
Yeah, do that.
Enjoy the day.
Yeah, do that too.
And find your life on the water.
that little left-handed kid, Austin, he's pretty good at that stuff too. He's another one.
Hey, these are the guides. These are guides.